Hello, welcome back to Bioclass Bites. In this video, we are going to talk about current global status on observable effects of climate change. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share this video. Today's video is just the first one in the series entitled Going Green Today, the Ethics of Climate Change. So aside from today's topic, we will also talk about the scientific consensus on the causes of and solutions to climate change as a challenge to ethical action, and proposed high-impact solutions to climate change. At this point, I'm pretty sure you are familiar with this Swedish activist being covered here by The Guardian and DW or Deutsche Welle. So she is Greta Thunberg, okay, and she is well known for her very passionate rallies against climate change, okay. So in this news article, she is said to be scolding world leaders for ignoring science and scientists as they talk about climate change and what needs to be done to address this global crisis. So she began her solitary demonstrations in 2018. Okay, she conducted solo rallies in front of outside the Swedish Parliament, and she would often skip classes once a week to protest about climate change. Okay, we all know that climate change is a global problem and that industrial nations or developed countries are the ones who are the primary source of greenhouse gas emissions, while it is the developing nations, okay, that are actually the ones suffering the most from this crisis. So these news articles were published in 2019. However, as early as November 2018, Greta Thunberg has already been making headlines. Okay, so she had her own TED talk. Okay, she was invited to give a TED talk, and the title of her talk was the disarming case to act right now on climate change. So what was so compelling about her TED talk was that she cannot understand, okay, why if burning fossil fuels was so bad, okay, she said this was so bad that it threatened our very existence, how come we just continue like before? She was looking for restrictions, she was looking for things to make it illegal, for laws to make it illegal. She also asked questions such as why are there no emergency meetings, no breaking news, no one is acting as if we were in crisis, okay? When it comes to the sustainability crisis, everyone just keeps saying that climate change is a threat, but they just carry on like before. The most important message from her TED Talk was this. There are no gray areas when it comes to survival from climate change. She persuades the audience that either we go on as a civilization or we don't. Okay, and we have to change in order to survive climate change. If you're interested to watch her TED Talk, I'll provide the link in the description below. Now, her actions reverberates all throughout the world, especially among the youth, among the students. So, in 2019, no continuation of her rallies, students all over the world also marched against climate change. So, this one was back in February 21, 2019. Students marched in Brussels, Belgium, here in Switzerland, and more in London. So, this was covered by Science News. I'll provide the link in the description below. Okay, and more students are rallying. Kids are calling for adults to take action. So more the fast-growing youth movement for more than 200 nations. All of them were response to Thunberg's cry for help to address climate change. Okay, so these are students rallying in Sydney, Australia. So even in the Philippines, we also had such rallies. Okay, so students from Ateneo community, okay, they also had their climate change rallies. UP Diliman, where else? Global Youth Climate, and so on. So what is happening to the world right now? To be constantly updated about environmental news, I recommend that you make it a habit to visit Google News in your iPad or smartphone. Specifically, follow the science topic so that you could see all the latest news, environment news, outer space, physics, genetics, wildlife, all of those latest news research findings are posted here. As science students, I also recommend that you follow these Google News pages: New Scientist News, Scientific American, National Geographic, and Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute. A simple Google search about climate change would usually give you all the information you need. All you have to do is to learn how to find credible sources so that you will have the correct information. Now, to learn more about climate change or its basic information about it, I recommend that you watch this video entitled Climate Change 101 with Bill Nye from National Geographic. I'll provide the link in the description below. I also recommend that you visit this NASA website, specifically their global climate change page. So I'll provide the link in the description below. So they have the following sections about climate change: evidence, causes, effects, and solutions. So you might want to check that out. Now, how do we know that we really have climate change, that we are really experiencing climate change? So according to this graph, based on the comparison of atmospheric temperature, okay, these are measured by scientists, okay, atmospheric samples contained in ice cores, and more recent direct measurement, it says that the atmospheric carbon dioxide has increased since the Industrial Revolution. So that's around this time. Okay? So Earth's climate has changed throughout history, but just in the last 650,000 years, there have been several cycles of glacial advance and retreat, with the abrupt end at the last ice age 7,000 years ago. Okay. So here, this is the mark of the start of human civilization. And most of the major climate changes that we're experiencing right now are brought about by human activities or results of human activities. Now, in the past, all of these changes are due to small variations in Earth's orbit that change the amount of solar energy that our planet receives in the past. But right now, here, what we are experiencing right now, all this increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide and all this climate change and global warming that we have right now is mostly attributed to human activities. And that's what we will explore in this lecture playlist. So this one is from Our World in Data. It shows us the average temperature anomaly at global scale. So this is the global average land sea temperature from 1961 to relative to the 1961-1990 average temperature in degrees Celsius. So as you can see, 1850s, 1940s, then 1960s onward, you see this dramatic increase in global average land sea temperature. Okay, so 2018, we are right here, we are right at this point, and then we are expected to have higher average temperature globally if we fail to address climate change. Okay, so the red line represents the median average temperature change, while the gray lines represent the upper and lower 95% of those measurements. So if you want to see more of these graphs from Our World in Data, I'll provide the link in the description below. Now we go back to NASA. Multiple studies published in peer-reviewed scientific journals shows that 97% of actively publishing climate scientists agree, okay, that climate warming trends over the past century are likely due to human activities. Okay, that's what I've mentioned in the previous graph. Okay. In addition, most of the leading scientific organizations worldwide have issued public statements endorsing that same position. So in this graph, you can see the following scientific institutions: NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies. Okay, it shows us this increase in temperature, the temperature anomaly. Hadley Center for Climatic Research Unit, the NOAA, National Center for Environmental Information, Berkeley Earth and Cotan, and WAY. So all of these independent scientific institutions all support the findings that the Earth is really undergoing climate change. The Earth is getting warmer, the temperature is getting higher, and it's mostly due to human activity. You can actually visit this um, page of NASA and see the list of those organizations along with the links to their published statements about this graph and other related resources. So again, no, the scientific consensus is that 97% of climate scientists agree that climate warming trends is due to human activities. Okay, human activities, they all agree. That's the scientific consensus. They agree that the climate is warming, it's due to human activities. And according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, scientific evidence for warming of the climate system is unequivocal. Okay? It means unmistakable, undisputable. So we have a lot of scientific evidence supporting climate change. Okay? And again, no, they are mostly pointing to results of human activities. So IPCC is actually a United Nations body for assessing the science related to climate change. So they have made a lot of contribution to climate science and policy making. So they have the Kyoto Protocol, the 2 degrees limit in 2007, the very important Paris Agreement for 2015. Okay, so according to their fifth assessment report between 2013 and 2015, IPCC says that human influence on the climate system is clear. The more we disrupt our climate, the more we risk severe, pervasive, and irreversible impacts. Okay, mostly to human lives, okay, and to our environment. So we have the means. We have the means to limit climate change and build a more sustainable future. So if you're interested about IPCC, I'll provide the link to their website in the description below. So again, what are those scientific evidence that all support climate change? First will be global temperature rise. We've seen the graphs about this. Okay, so the planet's average surface temperature has risen over the years. Okay, so 2016 was the warmest year on record, but 8 months out of that year were the warmest in respective for those months. Okay, warming of the ocean, we've seen that the ocean has absorbed much of this increased heat. Um, Shrinking of sheets since the ocean is getting warm. Of course, the ice sheets in the polar regions are melting. Okay, Greenland lost an average of 279 billion tons of ice per year, while Antarctica lost about 148 billion tons of ice. Glacial retreat. So as the glaciers melt, okay, they recede back into the polar regions. Okay, so glaciers are retreating, including the Alps, Himalayas, Andes, and Alaska. What else? Decreased snow cover. Okay, the ice are melting. Satellite observations reveal the amount of spring snow covered the northern hemisphere has decreased over the 5 decades. So since the ice is melting, there's a sea level rise. Global sea level rose about 8 inches in the last century. The rate in the last 2 decades is nearly double of that of the last century. So it's accelerating every year. Declining Arctic sea ice, both the extent and thickness of the Arctic sea ice has declined rapidly. Result is all of this together results into extreme weather events. Okay, so the number of recorded high temperature events in the United States have been increasing and all over the globe. Then we also have ocean acidification as another evidence of climate change. So not only have we identified the evidence for climate change, we are also feeling the effects of it. Okay, so potential future effects of climate change would be frequent wildfires. So we have that right now, longer periods of drought in some regions, and then increase in the number, duration, and intensity of tropical storms in other parts of the globe. Now that a degree of difference in this short article from NASA. So the Earth's average temperature has increased by 2 degrees Fahrenheit during the 20th century. That 2 degrees is quite big. It's a big deal. It's actually enough to cause all these problems that we have right now. It is an unusual event in our planet's recent history. Okay, some organisms cannot handle just an increase in 1 degree of temperature, specifically coral reefs, which are very sensitive to changes in heat. So they are one of the first ones to get affected by climate change. Okay, so all of those degree in difference recorded in tree rings, ice cores, and coral reefs shows that the global average temperature is stable over a long periods of time, except the changes that we're experiencing right now. Okay, so for example, at the end of the last ice age, the northern United States was covered by more than 3,000 feet of ice. Average temperatures were only 5 to 9 degrees cooler than today. So just a change in degrees of temperature, higher and lower, is enough to actually have catastrophic events on our planet. Now from NCBI, National Center for Biotechnology Information, also has this page. I'll provide the link in the description below. The impacts of climate change on human health. Okay, so we have health-related illness and death, cardiovascular failure, injuries and fatalities, mental health impacts, asthma. I'm one of those asthmatic people. Rise in malaria, dengue, encephalitis cases, Lyme disease, respiratory allergies, cholera, Campylobacter, harmful algal blooms, malnutrition, forced migration, and civil conflict. Okay. Now, the cause for that would be severe weather, extreme heat, environmental degradation, water impacts, changes in vector ecology. So all of those can actually be attributed to climate change, such as having extreme weather, rising of sea levels, increasing of carbon dioxide levels, and rising temperature. So this is the impacts of climate change on human health. So after knowing the scientific consensus on climate change, what brought us here? Okay, what is the reason why we are all experiencing all of this phenomenon? That will be the topic for our next video. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share this video. So till next time, goodbye.